if you can't say something nice, shh, say nothing. Take a bit of good advice, shh, say nothing. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can just be quiet.
We are the weirdos, mister.
I'm going to tell y'all right now, as I move forward in this, my verbal processing skills aren't great right now. It's been a little hot. I did get a little stressed out.
I'm having a hard time expressing myself.
But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of things happening, and I just never feel like I have the opportunity to talk about them. I've literally just been over here playing games. The game plan for today is to talk about like the Contrapoints situation and the bigger issue. So for those of you who don't know, Contrapoints, I don't know however many days ago, put out this weird ass wackadoodle statement. And okay, I know a lot of people want to do the thing where they go, this is why you don't look up to YouTubers, blah, blah, blah. And while sure, that's true. We're all going to be finding people to look up to, myself included. We all do it. It's just who we are as people. I think sometimes, though, it's okay for you to say nothing. Do you know, when I was growing up, there was a little song I learned, and it was like, if you can't say something nice, shh, say nothing. Take a bit of good advice, shh, say nothing. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can just be quiet, and that's fine. And I know that there will be people who will say things like, oh, I felt the pressure of my fans. Babes, take a shower, and then the pressure's gone. You know what I mean? Take a shower, take a bath, go for a run, scrub your armpits. You know what I mean? Wash your booty crack. There's a lot of things that you can do to relieve that pressure. Oh. Bzzzt. Do you know what I'm talking about? Bzzzt. You can do that too. There's a lot of things you can do to relieve, because these people aren't at your house, I'd hope. Relieve that pressure. But you don't have to make a statement. But apparently, Contrapoints didn't see that. And also, Natalie is her name. Because I don't think she cares about the they-thems, but I'm going to leave that alone. But she didn't get that memo, and she was like, no. We actually have to have this conversation for real. And it was like, we don't, there's a reason, like, even for me, when I was like, oh, I don't know what I want to say about Palestine, I didn't know what I wanted to say, right? So I said nothing until I figured out what I could say. There was also, for me, a big part of the situation that involved a clicking of pieces, because I began to realize that these people that I have known throughout my life have all been impacted by Israel negatively. Okay. And when this started, I had to start connecting all these dots, and I don't know how many other people had to do that, but I had to start connecting all these dots, and it was like very strange for my system. I didn't understand it, you know, at the time, because obviously I'm 20 and I was finding this stuff out 19, 20, 21. So I didn't fully understand like exactly what was happening at the time. And then it all just started falling into place about like the negative impacts that Israel has had on the region in general, the world. And when all of that started clicking into place, I just kind of was stunned. So I really was, the nigga was too stunned to speak. So I was just kind of sitting there like, holy shit. They were literally telling me what was happening, and I didn't understand. So I was working through all of the things that happened, and then trying to formulate how I was just going to say what I wanted to say. And then I realized I could just make it super easy and just be like, free Palestine all day. Like, this is a genocide. It should end. That's all. It's simple. You know what I mean? You can just like take yourself out of it and just be like, free Palestine. If that's it. You can run charity events like Noah. There's things that you can do that don't have to be like a lengthy 3-page statement about why the fuck you're not doing the things. And that's the thing. If you had to say, I'm going to tell you my opinion, but you won't like it. If you're talking about a genocide, I think don't say it then. I know that that's like just a wild take, but like you could just Sometimes even in my own life, I learned that I can shut the fuck up. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you know what? I could just shut the fuck up. I don't have to say that out loud. And I got to tell you my biases before I get into the statement. I know I've been sitting here chatting, but my bias is this. I don't particularly like her content. I think that most of it is based on the fact that it looks good, not so much on the fact that the substance is there. I find that it's long, quite drivel, and it's fine. She uses a lot of large dictionary words, and if you go back and watch them, you may or may not have the same opinion. It's really about the aesthetic. I enjoy the aesthetic. It's quite nice, but truly, it's not saying anything most of the time. Sorry. But also, actually, no, I'm not. I'm not at all sorry. So that's how I feel about Natalie's content. I also started to notice that, and this is something that hasn't failed me so far, but when a lot of Black creators in the leftist space do prop up a white creator, I'm just waiting. I listen, every time I'm like this.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Every time. Okay, because there's something, and like they've said or done something to make people think that that I don't know. It doesn't sit right with my spirit. That's where I am now. Back into the party. This is the worst party ever. Not even having a good time. There are not even any drinks. Sorry, I don't think Gen Z drinks. Also, there's a whole thing going on around about the Gen Z stare, which I find fascinating. I actually think it's quite funny. I think it's funny that they stare at you like they don't want to work that job. Service is based on slavery. Anyways, moving on. So many leftists feel betrayed because I haven't made a video on Palestine. I was fine, actually. I was actually fine. Do they actually want a Contrapoints video about Palestine? Will they be happy if I get in the bath and pour milk on a mannequin of Benjamin Netanyahu? No. What the fuck is she saying? This is what I mean. This statement, the reason I'm reading it at all is because this statement falls directly in line with what I feel about her content. There's a lot of words, flowery words, big words, paints lots of imagery. But did we need all that shit? Girl, bye. No, we did not. We needed none of this. Like, I don't understand. And she's like, no, I have posted about Gaza occasionally and have quietly given money to Palestine aid organizations. Then that's fine. Many people have. I am a person who does not like my name being attached with any of the quote unquote good deeds that I do, because for me, because I am old, it's not that it negates the good thing, but I'm not doing it because I want people to know I do good things. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. And I find that for me, in order for it to continue to be the right thing for me to do, I don't need people to know I'm doing it. That's all. I think what leftists really want is for me to join their chorus of anger. They sense some hesitation on my part and are judging me very harshly on my presumed opinions. I'd rather be judged on my actual opinions, so here they are. And this is where it all goes left. Listen, every single time people do this, I'm just like, yeah, God forbid we get angry about a genocide. That part. Not only that, but also, can you just like leave people like, again, if people are quote unquote angry that you're not speaking out, right? You don't have to. You can, again, just, there's loads of things that people talk, and I don't, like, I have a job and I work outside in the fucking heat. I cannot stress this enough. I don't have the opportunity to think of, I'm not even online enough to like, I don't search myself. That's absolute insanity for me. I don't think that's good for your mental health. I don't search for myself and what people have to say about me. You know, good on you. If you like me, great. If you don't, okay. Like, what do you want me to say? I don't know who you are. So I don't understand why she felt compelled, because I guess there were people on the online left that were talking shit. We're going to get into that in a little bit more. But she's going to go into this long ass diatribe, all right? And I'm going to try to read through as much of this as I can. So she says, is Israel committing genocide in Gaza? Yes. Do I oppose it? Yes. Do I feel angry about it? Yes. I also feel a lot of other things. And you could, listen, again, you could have stopped right there. The first thing that she feels is Doom, which, if you haven't played Doom Dark Ages, it's a very good time. I do miss the ripping and the tearing of the demons, but the shield is actually quite titties and the parrying is nice. ADHD, let me live. The week after October 7th, it was clear the mood among Israeli leaders and civilians was overwhelmingly kill or be killed. All right, girl. Existential panic and unstoppable lust for revenge. It reminded me of the U.S. after 9/11. Girl, not you invoking 9/11. What do you mean? We're just going to throw in a little Islamophobia here. All right. So, hot take and writing a very fine line. I think Contrapoints has received extra support for her content from LeftTube due to people feeling like supporting her wins them brownie points. Elizabeth? Elizabeth, if you just came in here, that's what I've been saying. I have been saying that. I'm like, everybody's like, Well, and we're going to get into that as well, if I can. There was no reasoning or protesting them out of it, nor was it politically feasible for the U.S. to withdraw aid to Israel on a time frame that would make a difference. Did you say those words? Did anybody proof this for you? Girl, it would have required replacing most of Congress and overturning decades of bipartisan strategy and diplomacy, which, by the way, I don't believe in bipartisanship. I'm going to say that out loud. It hasn't gotten us very far. And look what happens when somebody breaks it, like irrevocably smashes it with a hammer. They literally don't know what to do. The Democrats are over there just like running around, be like, meanwhile, Donald Trump and the Republicans are just like,
Surprise, motherfucker.
So the game's up, you know what I mean? The jig is up. Even in the best case scenario, it would have taken years. So there was a sense of futility, but worse. The number 2 thing she feels is misery. I am in misery. Mediocrity meets mediocrity. The leftist pro-Palestine movement quickly decided that their primary goal was not merely opposition to the genocide, but opposition to Zionism in general. Duh. That is, opposition to the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. And here they decided to draw the line separating decent people from genocidal fascists, which had the following consequences. It shrunk the coalition. Zionist is a very broad category. Most Jews are Zionists. Okay, Ethan Klein. Girl, what? That's like saying most black people go to church. They don't. Most black people like fried chicken. That's not true. How many Jews do you know? And I'm not saying it to be, I'm genuinely, like, I'm asking genuinely, like, how many Jewish people do you know that most of them are this thing? That's a wildly inappropriate thing to say. Anyone who supports a two-state solution is a Zionist. It was politically infeasible. What is the pathway that takes us from the present situation to the dissolution of Israel as a Jewish state? I don't know, but I bet you're about to tell us, girl. I bet you're about to spit. She's not. I don't see how this could happen without either a total internal collapse of Israeli society or else, nuclear war, which, girl, first of all.
Damn, nuclear war!
As usual, leftists have championed a doomed cause. And like this again, she is a liberal at best, okay? She is a liberal when it suits her. She is a liberal when it's helpful for her videos so that she can pop up one video every 1 to 2 years, okay, that everybody praises and goes to watch. And I'm gonna bring up a video for you in a second so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about with regards to what I think. And again, you don't have to think it. Elizabeth agrees with me though, and Elizabeth is super smart, so okay. But so does Mimi. Mimi's also very smart. That's 2 people. You know what I mean? That's a lot of people that agree with me. See, I can do the same thing, Natalie. Most people agree with me. Your content is mediocre. I'm sorry, listen, I'm going to hell. I don't care. It introduced ambiguities. The vagueness of Zionism as a political Satan enables all kinds of rhetorical abuses. On the one hand, right-wing Israelis hold up all anti-Zionist protests as existentially threatening and inherently anti-Semitic. That is a word salad if I ever did hear one. All it's missing is croutons. We're about to get them though. On the other hand, there is a long history of anti-Semites using the term Zionist in deliberately equivocal ways ZOG, etc., anti-Semites are happy for the opportunity to misappropriate the now popular anti-Zionist label to legitimize their agenda, and many people are not informed enough about anti-Semitism to recognize when this is happening. These problems are mutually reinforcing. There are the croutons for the word salad. And it goes on, by the way. There's another page of this. She's gonna keep explaining. And if you haven't figured it out yet, this has become very much like, it's about me. What about me? What about my feelings? And I don't know what to say. I'm like, did you know that you could just put on a bunch of outfits and put on a bunch of backdrops and make another video about Sex in the City? That's a hot topic right now. You could just do that. And you could be like, Carrie was Big's albatross. You see, in New York, a quintessential city of America, the US, the world even. Oh my God, I'm going to hell.
I'm going to hell. Who's coming with me?
I'm sorry, but I'm also a mimic. I can't help it. I'm autistic and I have ADHD, and I just need you to understand that I don't always do it mockingly. That time I did, though. Okay, I'm gonna quit it. No, I'm not. The online left has spent the last 20 months distributing hundreds of photos and videos of dead Palestinian children. Okay, girl. The main effect of this has been to create a population of people in a constant state of blood-boiling rage with no consequential political outlet. Girl, it's to get people to understand that there is in fact a genocide happening. What you're not understanding is algorithms, which you should, because your content is pushed in the algorithm. People who did not understand or know what was happening there because their algorithm is not pushing that to them very specifically because it's not feel-good content, and it's also like anti-American. You know what I mean? They don't want us seeing this shit because they don't want us to care. They don't want us to understand what our government actually puts its hands in. This is like a big change in history for us and like social media to be able to actually see in real time the devastation of war and destruction and hatred. Previously, we could only see this by way of pictures and photos and documentaries after the fact. We did not see it. So like these were things that we had to find out after the fact. Now people are seeing it, and people were trying to make sure, other content creators, not all of them leftists, you know, some people are just liberal. Apparently you're becoming now centrist at best, trying to get people to understand what's happening there. Especially because people's content, the people of Palestine who are being destroyed, Palestinians, and are in the middle of being bombed and starved, are trying the only way that they can to tell their stories before their people are completely wiped out, to try to get aid, to try to get help. I just want you to understand, since you want to make it about you, if you were in a building that was burning and you had access to your cell phone with the internet and could try to put out TikToks or whatever that you could to get somebody to know that you were in the building and trapped, would you not fucking be on that thing 24/7? Like, hello, I'm in this building, it's burning, it's falling apart, please come save me. I do not want to die here. Sorry. So I fear this may be worse than useless. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are conceptually not the same because I said so. That's not what the thing says, but I just threw that in. Yeah, Palestinians directly asked for these videos and images to be shared so that the world could see how actually horrific Israel's actions are. This is not a leftist cause. This is directly from Palestine. Exactly. Like, these people they're out there, they're trying. This is, for most of them, their last will and testament. For a lot of them, this is the end of their family line. And you're over here like, the leftists on YouTube are being mean to me. Okay, girl. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are conceptually not the same, and conflating them is dangerous, which is weird because you're doing it. But in practice, the way Israel is perceived does seep out into attitudes towards Jews in general. It doesn't for normal people. I don't think Jews who feel isolated and wary in the current atmosphere are simply hysterical or hallucinating. Girl, I would like it if you, sometimes I just want to tell people, like, it's okay to be quiet. You could have stopped a long time ago. Like, why are you still talking? It's very irritating that you have done this thing. Like, you could have just been quiet. You could have sat in the corner and politely ate your food. And again, where is your Sex in the City video on Carrie and Big's relationship, and also how Carrie's a terrible friend? That's what we expect from you. Mindless drivel with beautiful backgrounds. And now you've got this. Damn it. Yes, there's communal trauma and hypervigilance. Yes, there's disingenuous right-wing ghouls dismissing and censoring all criticism of Israel on the pretext of fighting anti-Semitism. But there's also a valid fear of historical anti-Semitic patterns recurring, and that fear gives power to the right-wing Zionist claim that only Israel can keep Jews safe. Okay. It's currently feeling like you've watched literally none of the information that has come out about this. And this is what I mean. I don't claim to be an intellectual. I'm just a person who like reads stuff, listens to some folks, gathers information, forms an opinion. You know, that shit old people do because we were forced to. We didn't really have a choice. And now I really have to because I can't really trust most of our news sources. This is completely out of left field, and I just wanted to say it so that I remember it and somebody will remember it at some point. But the fact that Conor McGregor sent his Lil Wang to Azalea Banks, two worlds I never thought would collide. This is what it sounds like. This is the kind of shit I do all day. Do you know what I mean? I don't sit around trying to figure out ways to defend Israel's genocide of Palestine. I don't do that. I don't have time for that. I don't know how she has time for it, but I mean, good on you, girl. Does this mean Israel should not be criticized and sanctioned? Absolutely not. But it's something I don't want to risk contributing to if not outweighed by tangible benefits. So I approach the issue cautiously, not cautiously enough. Here's what your whole thing should have been. It should have been, is Israel committing genocide in Gaza? Yes. Do I oppose it? Yes. Do I feel angry about it? Yes. End statement. That's where it should have ended. Just end. Just be done. There was no need for you to continue on, but you're so self-important that you like literally couldn't help yourself. You genuinely could not help yourself. Maybe if you'd said this, again, listen, I know I keep harping on it, but I'm just saying maybe if you'd said this with your fancy little background and all your outfit changes, people would receive it differently. But you put this in black and white, and that's maybe part of the problem. Obviously, the biggest part of the problem is that she doesn't seem to care that there's a genocide going on, and it's made this more about her feelings than the people who are literally being starved to death. But okay, let's keep moving forward. The fourth thing, and we're also using Roman numerals. I have a theory about people who use Roman numerals, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but like, okay. The fourth thing that she feels is bitterness. Much of the online left spent all of 2024 single-mindedly focused on Palestine and the complicity of Democratic politicians in sending aid to Israel. This campaign had in this essay, that's what she just did. This campaign had the following effects. 0 Palestinian lives were saved. You don't actually know that. Not one fewer bomb or bullet was fired by the IDF. True, but people did find out about it. That's not how war works. Do you know? Like, you do know that. Like, you can protest a war and people can still like be dropping bombs and shit. There's nothing that you can physically do to go stop them from doing that, unless I guess you join the military, you go through basic, and then they ship you over there. But you can't do anything if they're not actually sending our people, because we're on Israel's side. Do you see what I'm saying? The US is on the side of Israel. So you're just like saying, listen, context, I wish she had ChatGPT write this. I wish, but this is her, okay? And the only reason I can tell it's her is because the long-windedness of these fucking statements. It reads like she speaks. It may have slightly contributed to the re-election of Trump, guaranteeing that the US will put no diplomatic pressure on Netanyahu for at least 4 years. Do you see what I'm saying? Again, I'm not like mocking. I'm just saying, like, I can hear the way that she has inflections in certain spots and like all of this stuff. Like, I feel like she stood up and like said this shit out loud and felt like this is fire. I'm spitting some good shit. And then you put it here. Making protests against Israel both much riskier and less effective. I'm not sure what she means by that. The protests that people have been engaging in have started to make it a little bit more like even this much makes a difference, right? Every country that kind of starts to like back off of it, every country that kind of starts being like, oh, it's a tiny step forward. You can't expect everyone to just change their minds overnight. We'd like to, but unfortunately, countries suck. And everybody's afraid of the US for reasons, obviously, because there's a madman in charge. Have you seen that? And then she goes on to say, it may have slightly contributed to the re-election of Trump, guaranteeing that the US will put no diplomatic pressure on Netanyahu for at least 4 years and making protests against Israel both much riskier and less effective. I really hate that she tries to do that, because it was more than just Palestine that contributed to that. Again, online left is overwhelmingly way too white, and people be saying shit like this, and it's very frustrating because you're just like, okay. Or a lot of y'all, no hate, a lot of y'all are out here trying to use these $25 words that people don't know what the fuck you're saying. Do you know, they want to listen to you, and they're trying to figure out how to be drawn to your side, but you're over here speaking over people's levels. Like I, as much as the next person, like to look up a fucking word and see what that means. I like to use a fancy word here and there. It's a good time. But if you're trying to talk to the masses of people, you need to hit a mass level that most people can understand. That just makes sense, right? Because we're not having conversations with, like, we're not having these high level intellectual conversations with bunches and bunches of other intellectuals, which is something I really don't enjoy about the online left. Very specifically, a lot of it is the online white left, but Black people are doing it too. And I'm just like, I don't know how y'all expect to get people in when they're having a hard time understanding what the words that you are saying mean. They want to be able to listen to you and they want to understand, but they don't know what that word means. And if they're at work trying to listen, they don't have time to actually stop every time you say a word that they don't know, look it up and try to figure out and then rewind. They're at work. So just speak plainly. So I think that also contributed. So for a lot of people, they're just sitting there like, I don't know what you said, but Trump said he's going to write us a check. You see how easy that was? Like, yes, there were people who Palestine was their wedge issue. They were like, I'm not backing off of it. Yeah, barrier of entry. Thank you, Brenna. I don't understand why a lot of people don't get that. And then there's the people won't speak plainly. People feel like everything has to be polished and perfect. And I just think, just say the things that you can say. You're going to make mistakes. Try to like learn from them or whatever. Like I make mistakes. I try to learn from them. But I don't think that I should get on here and try to make people feel like they have to look up what I'm saying. And I think that contributed a large amount to that, to people just like not understanding what's going on. When people keep saying like, and the recidivism, and like using these, you're like, what the fuck does this mean? What does that mean? What does this mean? And eventually the other side is just telling people easy shit. We're going to deport illegals. We're going to write you checks. Groceries are going to go down. It was just easy. I mean, he still said all the other shit he was going to do and has done. And we'll get into that some other stream. But like, he still did all that shit. But the whole right-wing side has figured out how to just say things in plain text. And people are like, cool, I believe you. None of this is the fault of Palestinians, of course, who are overwhelmingly the victims here. I hope that someday American policy will shift in their favor and will continue to support that cause. TLDR, I see the situation as bleak, intractable, extremely divisive, and devoid of any element that could be appropriately transformed into political entertainment. That's why I haven't made a video about it. Hopefully it goes without saying that these are just my thoughts. I'm sure other BreadTubers have their opinions. The way that BreadTubers was in quotes for me made me feel like Black people, listen. I don't know why, but that's what I got from it. I couldn't. And of course, H3H3 was like, thank you. And I'm so sorry. I gotta say, when Ethan Klein is on your side, babes, you strayed too far. Your grift has gone bad. So she says all of this, and I know everybody and their grandma is eating her up and pretending to be surprised, or maybe they are actually surprised. But this is what it goes back to, because to me, when BreadTube was becoming, BreadTube, and then there was like the cornbread tube side of it, which is what it is. what I enjoyed about it was like the black side, the cornbread tube side, and continue to, because I find for me more levity. There's comedy thrown in. I'm learning. There is a lot more collaboration between the content creators, where they have panels, they all chat, like all this kind of stuff, because it helps to stop people from getting stuck in their echo chambers, right? Like if you don't watch Olay and Friends, do whatever you want with your life, you know what I mean? I'm not the boss of you, but I do like the format that she has there, because everybody that's on that panel does not inherently agree with one another. They go back and forth on things, especially things like religion, because not for me, multiple reasons why. And people have conversations with one another. And I personally found BreadTube to be very self-indulgent and self-involved. A lot of white people telling other white people to listen to black people or to listen to people of color, which wasn't happening. They didn't go do that. So it was a wild thing to be saying. And Contrapoints falls into that, because she makes videos that sound very intelligent to people. Again, if you're using a lot of fancy ass words, you put them together in a nice flow, you speak in an even tone that also has inflections in the right spaces, then people are a lot more likely to listen to you. And you can make a 2-hour-long video about Twilight. But also, in that same vein, there are black content creators who made really good videos about Twilight that said a lot more to me, same length. Grog said, it feels like Contra is a liberal who gatekeeps leftism. Yes, this is and continues to be my problem with a lot of the online left, because it is overwhelmingly white. They think that they are the gatekeepers of what leftism is and what everyone can and cannot say. Meanwhile, again, the very people that they claim to be helping, they aren't. They very rarely do any kind of like collaborations with them. They aren't really on each other's channels all that often. I'm not saying you have to be, but they don't reference people all that often. They don't really have moments where they're like, you know, I'm saying this thing, here's 5 creators that you should check out too that do this. Like, they don't really do that. And the reason I think that is important, especially with the way the algorithms work in general against people of color, is that if you do not make these suggestions, if you do not make it easy for people to find these people of color, we do consistently get lost in the algorithm. If you are a person of color, you're queer, you're black, any of these things, to keep your feed that way, unfortunately, and this isn't me being shitty, I'm being honest, to keep my feed black, I cannot subscribe to white creators. I quite literally, I watch the videos, I just never subscribe to them. I can't, because the moment I subscribe to one of them, my feed becomes white almost instantaneously. Like exactly one white creator, and don't let it be a big white creator, not big as in fat, although, sorry. But big as in channel size. Don't let it be that, because then otherwise I will, I will lose literally all of the black content creators I found. That's how I ended up finding somebody like Foreign. That's how I ended up finding Shanspear. Like a lot of these creators I found by continuously following and subscribing other black content creators. It was the only way that I could even hear about news and interest from our point of view. Yes, Elizabeth, I think diverse panels are such a great way to form opinions and gain information and insight. Olay and Friends are Chef Kiss and Cat Black. I have adored Cat. I do love Cat. Like, it's nice to be able to go into these spaces and find, especially like BlackTube. I'm just going to call it BlackTube. I don't know if everybody calls it that. Who cares? I am now. It's nice to, first of all, see loads and loads of people who look like me but they're diverse backgrounds and they're all talking about varying and different things, and it's just fantastic and it makes my spirit feel good. It brings me joy. It makes me happy. I'm like, hell yeah. I would not be able to get these kinds of, so look, I'm gonna show you. Black, I do have a lot of Hassan in here. A lot of times because I go back to sleep. Listen, don't judge me. I wake up on my days off. I wake up, okay? I let the dog out. I let my son, Bo, outside, okay? He poops, he pees. I feed him, come back upstairs. While I'm downstairs, I put together a playlist of news so it can just like slide into my brain and I don't have to actually like be looking at it sometimes because it's very depressing and I'm like, I don't want to be depressed while I'm awake. So I listen to a lot of this. Olay is so fine. Listen, I'm about to be super creepy. Olay is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And the way that her, you know, and then she puts the necklace in there. Girl, please. Please. I literally cannot breathe. Like I've started to get to a point where I'm like, I can't look at you because I have things to do. I don't want to spend the whole video just like mouth open, okay? I don't want to be a gooner. Like, are they NB gooners? I don't want to do that. But yeah, the majority of my feed, let me go back over, is in fact brown. It's just like news and black people. I don't know where they put Abba and Preach there because I can't really do a lot, but because they're black, that's why. It's black, 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 blackity black. Black, 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 blackity black. So I'm telling you, if you want your shit to be black, not that kind of shit. I can't help it. Listen, I am who I am as a person. You're just gonna have to deal with it. You came to this. So yeah, that's how I did it. That's literally how I did it. I had to just go, okay, you know what? The only way I'm gonna get this feed to be black and stay black is I cannot subscribe to white creators. Like I will watch all his videos, but I can't subscribe. Sorry. It's a very interesting place to get into, which brings me back to Natalie. Like, why did she feel so comfortable making this statement? And it reminds me a lot of James Somerton, right? James Somerton had the same thing, utilizing a marginalized identity to be able to like speak truth, but you can't say anything about it. You can't say, I think that their content is mediocre. You couldn't say anything about him stealing, because he would utilize his marginalized identity and weaponize it against you, because anything that you say negative about them tends to come down to, oh, well, you're just transphobic or you are homophobic. You don't believe that these people should have a voice, blah, 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 blah. And you get stuck in this position, especially when you're, you know, I don't have a huge platform or anything. I don't like to be in positions to say something and have a bunch of people come after me and be like, you're just hateful, you're jealous, you're transphobic, and I'm like, I'm literally not, but I'm not gonna argue with you either, because first of all, I have a full-time ass job, so I don't have time to argue with you on the internet. Like, I just don't have that time. I genuinely do not have the time and energy to put into arguing with you back and forth. And what it took for someone like James Somerton to get taken down was a 4-hour-long video by H Bomber Guy, a large content creator who was talking about plagiarism on the platform, right? And that's what it finally took to be able to have the conversation. And it seems like we just keep repeating this cycle with the online, mostly white left that people watch, that they are allowed to, like you said, Grog, weaponize their marginalized identity to be able to get away with not only stealing, but having just like generally okay content. And I'm not saying that like Natalie's content isn't good or whatever. I'm just saying, for me, overwhelmingly, my meter of how good your content is, because of the fact that I can't physically see it, is, can I listen to it and vibe? And there are content creators where I can for sure do that with. I have them on my subscription list, right? So like Aspen J does amazing content about Sex in the City primarily, right? I can just listen to it, vibe, have a good time. She's spitting, I'm having a nice time. I'm laughing along with her. Wonderful. I can do that with Be the Commentator. Wonderful times. I have a good time. I can just listen to it. I don't actually have to physically see what's happening in order to enjoy the content. Black Femininity TV, same thing. There's so many different creators. I'm like literally coming down here and like looking, that I'm able to do that with. And then there's others where I'm just like, I don't know. One of the reasons I do enjoy FD's content and Olay's content, Foreign's content, Turb did a really good video about Contrapoints just recently, and I can listen to it. And I find that for Natalie, the majority of her content to me, he did call it cracker points. He did call her cracker points. He also made a statement that
yes, Ethan wife guyed himself into being a neo-Nazi.
and I was like, Jesus, you Turb, you have a way with words, and I love it. But I find that these content creators, while their content is visually stunning, right? Because I will go back and actually look at it with my eyeballs. The important thing to me is what they are saying. And what I started to realize for me about Contrapoints was I find her content visually stunning, but I don't like to listen to it because it's, to me, just a lot of word salad. Also, no one is talking about how, though Contrapoints is trans, she's also a traditionally attractive white woman. Imagine if she was a trans black woman saying the same things with the same content. Exactly. Because you even have to pay attention to the difference between what happens with Kat and Contrapoints. Just look at the comments that Kat Black gets versus the kind of comments that Contrapoints gets. And this is, again, why I'm just like, if you are white and in the online left and you are not inviting the marginalized groups into your conversation, then it really is just about you and what you gain from being on the right side, right? You utilize black and brown creators, gay, queer creators to get to the top for you. You don't actually care about them. You don't care about their causes. You don't care about how they walk through the world. You don't give a shit because it's not like, this is about you and your bag. And I see it a lot. You know, I pay attention to it. And that's why I continuously say, you as a white person do not get to decide that you are an ally. That's not something you get to decide. You as a cis person do not get to decide that you are an ally. The people around you make that decision. The people around you decide if you are safe and if you are actually an ally to them, not just them, but the community. So you can be all okay all day long with your gay uncle, but that is because you know him personally and you don't feel that way about the gay community at large. Both Olay and FD are intellectuals that know how to do research, but they explain things in a way that is easily understood. Yes, I find that I move more towards women for reasons. I like women's voices. I like and want more women to be in these spaces, to be able to have conversations. I'm hopeful that before I die, women can have these conversations and be in politics and not get threats against their bodily person and not get doxxed constantly. That would be nice, especially black women. Be great if people could just like stop doing that. Like, oh, I don't agree with this black woman, so I'm gonna dox her and I'm gonna make sure everybody knows that she's awful so that her mentions blow up and she just has to get off the internet. That's what they're looking for. Elizabeth says it's like the whole nice guy phenomenon. The moment you have to go around calling yourself an ally, you're not one, and you're centering yourself in other people's struggles. That part. Like during Pride Month, I pay a lot of attention to how many people have LGBTQI plus safe space and they are not that. And by that, I mean, they are none of the letters in the alphabet. And so I'm like, who told you that you were a safe place? I want to know. I'm not seeing them in your chat. It's wild. Honestly, if a white woman says to me, like says at any point, listen to black women, I'm immediately put off. I'm like, nope. Because I understand what they're doing at that point. Like I understand that they are using black people to get ahead for them. The thing that I find interesting is that the reason Contrapoints Natalie felt so comfortable and confident putting out that statement and thinking like, ooh, I did it, is because she's never had to hear anybody truly be like, yeah, I actually fully fucking disagree, without throngs of her fans coming in and shutting them down. And now I feel like for perhaps the first time, she's going to have to experience the full weight of people being like, no, you've turned an entire genocide into your battle with the online left. When you feel so confident to stand and say this wild shit and think that people were just gonna like blow smoke up your ass. And to be fair, everybody does like, well, most people like the smell of their own brand. You know, it's funky, but you're kind of like impressed with yourself. But there's a level where you do have to realize like maybe you should leave the room and come back in it and see if it still stinks. Because like sometimes when you're in it, you're like, that's not too bad. Then you leave and you come back, you're like, actually. And I feel like she should have done that. And I feel like her comfort level with being able to do this is systematic, one of those words. I'm not having a good verbal situation today, of the reality of like the online left mostly being white and them being able to dictate who, how, and where we can speak about whatever issues. And whenever they find themselves, like Natalie did in this issue with Palestine, where people were asking, hey, you haven't made a statement, instead of her just saying, it's a genocide or whatever, or just saying nothing, she decided to do that, which is a whole lot of bullshit. And again, you don't have to understand an issue to understand that people are being brutally murdered and are like literally trying to get out their last will and testaments for people to know that they tried, that they existed in this world, because they're not just like wiping out their families, they're wiping out their history. They're wiping out any trace that they existed. These videos that they are asking people and saying like, please get this out, because all most people have left is this. Like, they don't have anything else, nothing for them to be able to pass down. A lot of them don't have family anywhere else. And now their entire family line is getting wiped out. This is all they're going to have. This is all that's going to be left of them. And it's just wild that she thought that this was an appropriate time to grandstand. But of course she did. She is a white, traditionally pretty, liberal lady who very regularly thinks that she can just say shit and then dictate how the rest of everybody else should feel. And if you didn't agree with her and she wasn't participating in any of the fundraising events and people were wondering about it, then, you're the problem and you're hurting her fifis and you need to stop it. Her fifis are greatly disturbed by the genocide and by y'all not caring enough about her fifis to understand why she wouldn't want to just talk about it. That's why circulating cultural and history related posts are important too. Correct. It's one of the reasons why I very regularly say like everybody doesn't have to be out in the streets marching. This idea that if you're not on the streets protesting, you're not protesting is ridiculous to me, because other people are doing things like gathering and saving our history. There are people who are working hard to collect and keep and retain the history of Black Americans, because they have been for decades trying to whitewash it over and over and over again. And because of things like TikTok, not only were Black people able to find out their history in ways that they hadn't found before, myself included, but other white people were able to start finding this out and be like, holy shit, I did not realize it was like this, because that's not how they taught it in class. And of course they didn't. And if some of us get arrested, the end result isn't the same. Correct. Like, a protest has many different arms and legs. It can't operate just by everybody being in the streets. It has to have people who are collecting the documents and maintaining and preserving the history. It has to have people who are getting the word out of where to be and what to do. It has to be people out there who are trying to help you on what you do to stay safe. The lawyers who help get you out of jail. There are so many arms and legs to this. It's not just going into the streets. And there are people who can, because they can do that. In my case, no, I cannot. I have a household of people depending on me as well. So I can't just go to jail and not worry about it. Like, I have to be able to provide and have money here. My mother is retired. And it's not that the other people in my household don't make money. We are a collective in this household. If one of us falls, then all of us fall. That's the thing. Other creators in this space are also to blame with allowing her and other people like her to go unchallenged because they feared being called a bigot and losing social credit. I do agree with that. Yes and no. Like, it's a yes and, right? Yes, they are. And the issue that you run into, which is the same thing that people were running into with like an Ethan Klein, is that there is a level of getting internet piled on. Like, yes, granted, it'll come back later and people will be like, oh, you were right. But in the moment, It can be terrifying. It can feel awful. It can be very stressful to have people doxing you over their parasocial relationships. I don't think there's anything wrong with parasocial relationships. I think some of them are toxic if you allow them to be toxic. But I do think that when creators, especially smaller creators, do try to speak up, they get dogpiled. And it starts to become not fun to create your content if every video that you put out subsequently, as some people like to say, FD, I don't like it when you say that. But subsequently, like every video that you put out, it's going to be filled with comments from their haters. Like, you know, if there's 10 comments on your video and it's been out for like 1 minute, those people were waiting. They were waiting. And now you're overwhelmed with these shitty comments to the point where you're like, I guess I'm just going to turn the comments off. I don't know what else to do. This is really fucking stressful. But also you can't turn the contents off because if you're monetized, that's how the video gains traction. So it's a lot. And I try to keep my leftist spaces overwhelmingly people of color and Black people and queer folks very specifically because of shit like this. Not saying that they're perfect, but I am saying that I find that there is a difference in the way that people of color, Black people, queer folks interact with one another and collaborate with one another and allow space for disagreement that is far different than what goes on the white side of things. On the white side of things, they inevitably end up trying to keep a status quo and control entry, as many of you have stated before, gatekeeping leftism and how it should operate. And so I guess in conclusion, fuck you, Natalie. That's just fuck you. I don't understand why you could just mind your business. I mind my business all the time. I mean, obviously I'm in your business right now, but you put your business outside. Like, I was inside my house and then you brought it in my house. I don't know what you want me to do about that, because I'm a nosy bitch and everybody knows that I'm nosy. So you could have just kept all of this in your house and minded your business. I saw a TikTok today saying working class people aren't as good as debating as more privileged people. And I'm like, have you ever had a disagreement with a privileged person? They can't handle basic disagreements without shutting down. That part, but also because, again, a lot like Natalie, a lot like a large amount of the creators in this space, using their $25 words against somebody regularly, against like a regular person who's just like minding their business. They got their degree and whatever, and maybe they didn't get their degree and they're just like working and having a nice life. There is this sensation of consistently trying to speak over them by using language that they can't understand. Like, people have been doing that for centuries, using language to circumvent your ability to argue with them. As soon as you start saying words that you know might vex the other person, you're going to keep doing it. And then you're going to belittle them for not knowing what you're talking about. It's kind of like when you're having an argument with somebody online or a discussion with somebody online and they can't distinguish between there, and there, which, to be fair, our education system has literally, left a lot of people behind. But you're now nitpicking the language that they use instead of their argument, and you've done that on purpose. That's one of the reasons why I stopped doing that to people, because I realized that I am at this point trying to use my command of the English language to belittle them in their education instead of keeping to the topic at hand. By not engaging in that activity, we can actually have a conversation. It doesn't always work. Some people just want to name call. But when you're constantly trying to attack the language that somebody is using to try to go like, your argument doesn't mean anything because you said X, read between the lines, bitch. Like, we're about to fight. So I don't think that that's fine. But like, yeah, I think in the end, we have to really just recognize and start paying more attention to these. And again, start trying to watch more Black and brown creators. Like, y'all, if you're not watching Herbie Revelis, I hope I'm saying that right. I never can. So good. Such a good time. Funny. You learn. And it's a fun time. Intellectual media. If you don't really want to like feel like you're getting involved in politics, but you are, intellectual media. Go there. Julamina. Good content. Fun. She's fabulous. She is funny. She tells interesting stories. She be looking at all this information. It's a lovely time. Obviously, there's Kenny JD. I shouldn't have to say anything. She's Kenny JD. Khadija is obviously another content creator. Love her. Like, this is me showing you, like, this is, again, I'm telling you, it's quite black. It's quite black here. There's a lot of people that give you content that is intelligent and fun. It's intelligent and you're actually having to learn. Sometimes you want to learn, but you don't want to feel like you're learning. There's people who have all kinds of, they're going to talk about books. If you like books, you don't always have to be stuck into the politics of things. These are all of the Olave channels. Listen, she done told you. She done told you. Princess Weeks, good times. And this video, you can't separate Harry Potter from J.K. Rowling.
Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now.
I'm a firm believer in the fact that you cannot separate the art from the artist, especially if that artist is still alive and able to cause harm. So fuck J.K. Rowling. I don't understand. You can't do it. She's still alive. And she's literally told you that that's what she's spending the money on. Like, she said it. I'm spending this money to be transphobic. I'm spending this money to be a TERF. That's what I'm using this money for. So every time you use something, you play a game, anytime you're doing, and I know it's free on the pass right now. I know Hogwarts Legacy is free. And I know that you think I'm not putting money in her pocket because I didn't pay for it, but you are exposing people to her fucking work. Remember that. You are exposing people to her work. There are multiple artists I have had to stop listening to because I realize that they're nightmares. Marilyn Manson is one of them. Obviously, I don't listen to R. Kelly. I don't listen to Chris Brown. It's not hard. I just have to recognize the things that they have done and continue to do. I'm not going to feel comfortable until they're dead. And I mean that. When R. Kelly is dead, I will do an introspective of Trapped in the Closet, hip opera, if you will. Also, just another thing on Princess Weeks, I do think that you should go check out her video on girls, because that's also, it was 6 months ago, but it was a really good video. Check that out. So, one thing I'm going to try to do, don't hold me to it because I forget things, but also let me know, be like, hey, what black content creator of the week or whatever, however long, I'm going to be off and on. Summer is honestly one of the worst fucking times for me. I'm going to be so serious. The heat in and of itself sucks my soul out of my body, and my supervisor pisses me off, and, she tries to harass me, and it takes a lot of my energy to just look at her and be like, I'm not going to argue with you. It's a good day and I'm in a good mood, which leaves her seething. And that is enough for my angry, very evil, extremely spiteful Taurus heart to just continue being unbothered while she sits over there seething. I can literally see the smoke coming out of her nose because she can't argue with me now. And on that note, thank y'all. Thank all of you who were in chat today. I appreciate y'all. Y'all were so active. I was actually really stressed out about doing the dual stream, but y'all made it worth it for me. So thank you. I love you so much. All right. Bye.